going on, guys? It's your boy, Tom Trash, and Happy New Year. With it now being the first day of 2024, I thought we would once again talk about my top 10 favourite interviews of 2023. So let's get into it, guys.
Number 10.
Number 10 is my interview with Zach Heydel, formerly of Pro Wrestling Torch, now of SE Skills. I think the reason that I love this interview is for a couple of reasons. A more personal one is the fact that Zach has always been a very good guy to me, always been very nice, very cordial and stuff. And when I was going through some mental health struggles last year and kept having to reschedule our interview, he was nothing but compassionate and nice about it. But also, I love this interview because of the fact that he was really open about his own mental health struggles during the interview, and the fact that he was so open about everything within his career. I just love this interview. I just really enjoyed this one.
I had the best time working for PW Torch and working for Wade. He was such a great mentor for me and taught me a lot. Not just about how to, how to like analyze the wrestling product. I mean, he certainly taught me a lot there too, but he made me a better writer. He made me, more efficient in terms of how to write a news story or how to write a feature editorial or how to, even how to podcast. I feel like, having the time that I did with him just helped my skills grow. And so I'm just so incredibly grateful for that.
Number 9.
Number 9 is my interview with Kenny Bomb from the Kenny Bomb YouTube channel. Again, there's the generic reasons why I like this interview, which is Kenny was always cordial and nice to me and things like that. But again, he was so open about his love for gaming and the fact that he started out as just a fan of content creators and was really inspired by other creators and wanted to do things himself and wanted to build his channel and just really wanted to build it and really enjoys the process of building his channel and things like that.
I don't want this to sound the wrong way, but I kind of try not to look at other content creators, bigger content creators, just because I am impressionable. And if I see somebody doing something, I might take that and start doing it myself, not even recognizing I'm taking what they're doing. So, I know some of the big content creators, but as far as working with other people, I'd rather work with smaller channels just so we can help each other come up together.
Number 8.
Number 8 is my interview with Paul Bromwell from Ad Free Shows, the Kurt Angle podcast, the Arn Show, and every mailbag with Mike Chioda, and everything in between. Once again, I love this interview for the generic reasons. We had great chemistry and all that, and the fact that he was so open. But also, my internet was sugar, honey, ice, and tea head during this. So it just really wasn't on our side. But Paul was really compassionate, really good at saying, "Let's try again. Let's do this, my friend. Let's try this maybe." And he was so open about the fact that it was a dream to work with Kurt Angle and Conrad Thompson and people like that. And just the fact that he was so open about everything was really cool. How did you first connect with Kurt and start podcasting start bringing his podcast onto Ad Free Shows?
Yeah, Kurt was very regimented as far as the date and time that he needed to record every week. It used to be always Fridays at 1:00. It was his podcast time. I mean, he's still going to many appearances, still doing a lot of different things in his schedule. Well, Conrad also has a tight schedule, right? So he wasn't always able to make that 1:00 on Friday deal. And so it just became one of those things where, hey, Paulie, I need you to tag in. Paul, I need you to tag in and take with Kurt. Well, through some of those, me filling in, Kurt and I started to develop a chemistry. We started to get to know each other. We're both from Pennsylvania. We're both Pittsburgh sports fans. We started to get each other's personality as far as just giving each other a hard time, busting balls. I started to realize I could get away with, taking jabs and poking fun at him, and then he would do it back to me. Again, we became friends. He came out for a signing here in Philadelphia. I drove out and spent a little bit of time with him. So through that, I think Conrad obviously knew we were getting closer and said, hey, look, it makes sense. Let's just, instead of going halfway on this, I'm busy as all get out. I'm taking on, Mick Foley soon. I'm taking on, other types of things, other projects for ad-free shows. Kurt, how do you feel about Paul becoming your full-time host? Kurt was 100% all in because we had become, really cool at the point that happened. And I think it became official, already doing a lot of shows, but it became official November last year.
Number 7.
Number 7 is my interview with Iridium from the AEW Collision recap on Fightful Wrestling. Again, I love this interview because of all the generic reasons that they were so open and things like that. But I also love the fact that Iridium said she was a fan of my work. And like when I reached out to her, she was like, yeah, let's do it. Like, I really like hearing that my guests had a great time, and as we'll get into in a few of these interviews, it was really cool to hear that Iridium wanted to come on and things like that, and we was able to balance her fandom as a radio presenter. And I really like, there's an interesting point in this interview where she talks about her relationship with music and how that's changed as a radio presenter. So I thought that was very cool. You brought up there Twitter not being fun for you at times. How do you maintain, because like you said, obviously there's a lot of people that maybe applied for this opportunity with Fightful and things like that. How do you maintain that I deserve to be here sort of thing when you might get comments of people being like, I applied for this and I've got more experience, and do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I totally get that. And for that, I would say, I think that I worked really hard for what the things that I've made for myself. I feel like, you could go back and see that I've been consistent in podcasting, that I've been consistent on YouTube, and that I currently do work in radio. So I feel like the experience that I have is enough to show that, like, hey, she deserves to be here.
Number 6.
Number 6 is my interview with Kate Elizabeth from Fightful Wrestling and the Mark Order Pod. Kate was what is known in the trade, guys, as a bucket list interview for me. She was someone that when I first started the channel or interviewing consistently in 2021, I was like, yeah, she's someone I'd love to have on. Like, can we make this happen? Can we make this happen? Things like that. And I was really proud of myself because I was persistent with this interview, but was never like pushy, and like she just kept being like, I'd love to, but right now I'm very busy. And then finally her schedule opened up and she was like, yeah, let's do it. And again, the reason I love this interview is, as you'll see in the clip below, she says thank you to me for having a different conversation with people and for having different conversations with people and things like that, and like really praised my niche and me for finding my niche, which I found very cool.
Thank you so much for having a conversation that's a little bit different and focuses on the actual content creation piece of it, and having such wonderful conversation with a lot of my peers in the space, both at Fightful and beyond.
Number 5.
Number 5 is my interview with Larson from Guiding Raw. The reason I love this interview is all the generic stuff about the fact we had a great conversation and things like that. But as you guys will remember, if you're an OG fan of this channel, I interviewed both Steve and Larson early on in my fandom during the days of my shitty little iPad, where my guests would record for me, and I really didn't like that interview looking back. I was very much a fanboy, very much talking over them, asking the fanboy questions. I think I may have even been hungover. So the fact that I got almost a do-over with Larson, and he was very, we was able to actually have a structured conversation rather than like what I would call a fanboy conversation. I was very proud of that.
When it comes to what Steve and I had done on Going in Raw, Some of the stuff we've had the most fun doing, it's not even the podcast stuff, although that's always a lot of fun. Some of the most fun we've ever had is some of the gaming stuff we did with the WWE 2K games. We each booked our own eFeds. It was just silly stuff. And then we also had a series called We Book Raw, where we rebook some of the characters. And some of that stuff is the most fun we have ever had working together. And when that stuff was really good, I feel like that energy, that enthusiasm for it really communicated. And some of that stuff is, it didn't do as well, obviously, as some of the podcasting stuff. But some of those episodes, I think we're both really, really proud of. And if 30, 40 years from now, that got unearthed out of a time capsule, and that was the lone example of anything we ever provided to the universe, I'd be all right with that.
Number 4.
4 is my interview with Tempest from Wrestle Talk about his journey to the UK. Tempest is someone that has always been very nice to me when it comes to my work and always praised my work and things like that. And when I found out he was moving to the UK for full-time content creation, I was like, there's a podcast in this. So I reached out to him and just said, would you be interested? And once again, he was someone that during the even earlier days, when I was recording in my laptop in the kitchen because of dodgy signal and things like that, he was someone that I had a fanboy conversation with. So it was really cool to get a structured enthusiasm conversation out of him, for lack of a better word, and an actual full-on, let's have a full-on conversation rather than a me talking over him conversation.
I think it has just evolved so much since coming here. I knew that it would, because it couldn't not, really. Going from talking with people maybe once a month on a video chat, if it was someone other than Pete, or even in Pete's case, we only got a chance to talk before and after podcasts for an extra 5-10 minutes or so, maybe twice a week, and then add in the weekly team meeting that we would have. But that's all the interaction I would have with people, unless I had certain time blocked off for a one-to-one conversation, but usually that would be work stuff. Now it is just I'm hanging out with friends in an office all day, and that chemistry just kind of compounds itself into it does. It really does. It shines through on the shows, being able to just sit there and have a conversation with somebody. And that conversation then just building more chemistry, building a relationship with somebody, and then to immediately just take that and go on to a show. I don't necessarily even feel like I have to turn the switch and be on in front of the camera. I can just talk with my coworker, and now that it doesn't feel different from anything else.
Number 3.
Number 3 is my interview with Fiona from Inside the Ropes and Hitting the Turnbuckles. Again, the reason I love this interview is Fiona has been quite open about her struggles with alcoholism and everything in between. And she was so open about everything when it comes to the fact that she had struggled with alcohol, the fact that her kids have had to help her and see her in not a desirable state because of alcohol, and like I say, her struggles with alcohol. And it turned into more of a let's have a frank conversation rather than a let's discuss wrestling. I was really proud of the fact that I let her I listened to her and really went deep. I think even Dom from Give Me a Whole Yeah, shout out to the Give Me a Whole Yeah crew if they watch this, and I said this is one of your best interviews and one of your deepest stuff, and I was very proud of it for those reasons. You have been very open about the fact that you've had problems with alcohol in the past, correct? You just celebrated at the start of this year, 1 year, correct? 1 year of sobriety, right?
Yeah.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Number 2.
Number 2 is my interview with Sean Ross Sapp The reason I believe I love this interview is the fact that he doesn't do a lot of them, and the fact that he turned me down a few times and basically said, it's not you, but I'm taking a break from guest spots right now. So things like that, when it comes to the guest spot side of it, the guest spot side, I'd sort of said, nah, I don't think Sean's gonna happen. Then we were approaching 150 interviews with my friends at one point, and I was like, I'm just gonna reach out to him. If he says yeah, great. If he says no, I respect his position. And it was like, yeah. He said yeah, and he even said to me during the conversation, he was like, I don't feel like I need to do another interview because you went so deep and so deep, for lack of a better word, but that's what I mean when I say that. I went so deep within his fandom. He even loved the generic question segment because he was like, I do get asked these on social media, and now people will have a place to be like, yeah, I can know these answers now. And it was like, that was the whole goal, so that is very cool. And then number one is a big thank you to Sean, and we will get to that in 2 seconds. Say this was to all end tomorrow, what would you want your legacy to be?
Just hopefully that we did good work and that we cultivated a good audience. I go out of my way to let bad people know that I don't want their money. I don't want their business. I don't want them here. They can go to some other website. They can give them the clicks or whatever. But hopefully that we made a bit of a difference, that we improved the wrestling media landscape to some degree, that we improved media literacy. That one's important to me. I want people to understand that when I tell them to learn media literacy, it's not like an insult or anything. It's very important because about 10, 11 years ago, I didn't really have any. I didn't know how to determine sources or determine where a story came from and if it was credible. And I think that's very important. So hopefully, at least a little bit, we pushed forward wrestling media.
Number one,
and I think you guys can know this by the tease from number two, is my interview with the founder of Fightful, Mr. Jimmy Van. Jimmy Van was someone that wasn't even on my radar for an interview. Then one night, because occasionally if someone hasn't got their DMs open and I really want to speak to them in a conversation, I'll just tag them in a tweet and be like, can I interview you? Here's an interview to show my work. And he responded, and I fully expected to get a, please don't do this on Twitter, that's unprofessional, blah, blah, blah. And then, but thankfully, I got a message from him saying, yeah, I'll come on. Sean's put you over, and once again, thank you to Sean for that. That was very unexpected, very humbling that someone as big as him would put me over. And I'm really proud of that interview because, as you'll see in this clip, Jimmy Van says it might be the only one shit he'll ever do when it comes to non-Fightful content. So I was very proud of that.
Might be the only one I ever do where questions are not asked by Fightful staff. And it was a pleasure for me to talk to you. I love what you're doing. I love your hustle, and keep doing it. Keep doing it. Don't give up. Don't get discouraged. Keep doing it. Your numbers are growing, and they'll continue growing if you're consistent.
There you go, guys. They are just 10 of my favorite interviews from 2023. Let me know yours in the comments below, and let me know also in the comments below who you would like to see on the channel in 2024. Thank you for all the love in 2023. Hope you stick around for the journey in 2024. Make sure you like, share and subscribe if you like this video. Follow me on Twitter @TomToTrash, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye now.